What's up guys, Spud here and welcome to episode 19 of the Roundup. It's been a while, but I'm going to be honest, it's been a very quiet ROSTERMANIA so far. So this is basically just what's happened in the last month. So there's going to be a lot of stuff that people who watch this that know a lot about the Call of Duty scene already will know. A lot of this is already relatively old news, but you'll hear my thoughts on it. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about Team Falcons entering a team into the league for next season, but it's not who you expect it to be. Also, the big one, I think, is that SIB is a restricted free agent, and we're going to talk about that. And also another huge one, a potential LA Thieves super team, which includes Scrap and Hydra. If you do enjoy this episode, please do drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It is really appreciated. Also, do follow me over on Twitch because we have started streaming on Twitch again with the F1. And yeah, let's get straight into it. Again, I will just say it'll probably be like another few weeks until the next one. Obviously, hopefully it'll have picked up more. The more news that we get, the more episodes I'll make. But I wasn't actually gonna make an episode until the stuff about the LA Thieves Super Team possibility has come out. That's kind of why I wanted to make the episode now. First, I do want to talk about Doug Censor Martin, who broke the Guinness World Record for most pull-ups in 24 hours with 9,250 reps. He did this on Twitch. I was there for when he broke the record. A superb effort from Doug. I mean, that is just a crazy amount of pull-ups, let's be honest. But a massive well done to Doug. I don't even follow him. It's not worthy. If he'd done 9,251, I might have. But yeah, really good from Doug, and he did it with 3 hours left, and then that was he didn't want to do anymore. I mean, look at his hands. Not pleasant, you know. Take a few weeks at least for that to recover. So I've tried to do this in chronological order, right? But there was a lot. There's stuff that I will have missed. Ultimately, there's stuff that I won't have got as a tab here, which I'll talk about in retrospective with other things. So we're going to start with the Falcons news because this was nearly a month ago. Because this was only a few. There's obviously in the last episode there was rumours that they were going to replace the Vegas Legion. Obviously, because it's City franchising, they are the Vegas Falcons, which probably wasn't the name that people thought they were going to be, but they've got the Vegas spot. Now this is where it gets. First of all, welcome Falcons to the CDL. I almost called it the JTL there. Now this is their interesting part. So it is the exact team that was at the Esports World Cup. Xnid, Roxas, KHX, and King of Body with Luty as the coach. Now I'm going to be honest. They were very average. They had to play FaZe in their first game, and then they took Law Game into a map 5. Xnid, I will give a lot of credit to, though. I liked what I saw from him. Now, they don't have much experience, especially they've never played NA before. They're an EU Challengers team. And it's an interesting one. But obviously, the fact is, they've taken another 4 spots potentially from EU and NA players, which means it's going to be even harder for people to get into the CDL. So there was quite a lot of outrage and backlash about this originally, myself included. I will say this, at the time, I was frustrated by the decision because I would have rather they spent a lot of money on getting bigger players in order to make the league more competitive at the top. But that hasn't happened. They want to try this. It's a project at the end of the day for Falcons. So as I said, there was a lot of backlash regarding this. I'm not sure if it's still up, but Luty, who's the coach, he did put this tweet out the day after. So he said, "I'm aware there's a lot of controversy at the minute, regarding our announcement." And he talks about the focus for Falcons is to coach and develop a full Arab team. So there was a lot of people saying, "Oh, they should be put them in NA challenges for a year, have a CDL team, and then build them up." But they've had a lot of issues to get this far anyway. and their comms are Arabic now. Even Luti's learned Arabic. So they've only been together as a full team for 4 months. Um, there's genuinely people that believe they've just picked them up in a random shipment public match. It's quite funny. I like the fact that he does say, though, we are not limiting the project to only a specific region and understand that in the future we may need EU/NA players to help us achieve future goals and we'll be prepared to do so should we need to. So they're going to also have an academy team as well, so they're going to be in challenges. I think it's a good thing that they'll have an academy team, but like I've said, there's already the Miami Heretics, who again is another another team that is only for Spanish people. So it's kind of like that's 2 of the 12 teams where you can't get in, and obviously that's not ideal for people that have been playing challenges for years. But yeah, a big well done to Falcons. Obviously, these guys. Hopefully, they can have a good season. I will talk about Miami at the end actually because I did forget to. I knew there was something I'd forgotten, and it was Miami. Now we're going to go on about the big stuff, and we start with. I mean, that is a pretty big announcement. A new team in the league. This was a shock, and you can see my reaction to it down below. So SIB has been permitted to explore all options and is a restricted free agent for the 25 season. Hit the DMs, he says. SIB was the second best player on New York last season, and he was the best player for them at Champs. He would have been Champs MVP if Optic lost to New York. They've obviously extended everyone's contracts on Cloud9, but they are looking to sell SIB for a fee. He won't be on the team next season. It's a shock. The rumour is that it's not performance based, and there's obviously SIB's been talking about it on stream in the last couple of weeks that they had to do 9 in the morning till 9 at night days working in the team, like VOD review and practice and everything and stuff like that. And maybe he just didn't want to do that because it is like a 12-hour shift is quite a long time. And I know people are going to go, oh, but you're playing a video game. But regardless, it is still a long day regardless. So it's quite interesting this. I think it's a bad decision from Cloud9. And if I was a team looking for a hard-hitting AR, they should go in for him. If I'm honest, I think he might go to Toronto Ultra. I'm not sure actually. There is a world where if certain players leave Cloud9, he could end up being on the team next season. So this is the thing. This ROSTERMANIA has been really slow to start with, but I do think that it's definitely going to start picking up. I also want to talk about Cloud9. So D-Real is leaving Cloud9. Obviously, he's been the New York Subliners coach along with Sender. There was a rumour, not a rumour, sorry, Zuma on the flank said that he'd heard that D-Real was going to Team Falcons to join Luti as a coach. That has been dismissed by Falcons. So it's in D-Real is one of the best coaches in Call of Duty. So I'm hoping that if he is leaving Cloud9, he is going to have an opportunity on another team because he deserves it ultimately. And obviously, as I said at the start of the video about a potential LA Thieves super team, they've lost Jacob. So if they were looking for a coach, LA Thieves, to have a super team perhaps, surely you would go for D-Real. And we're going to talk about Cloud9/Ultra again. Because all of Ultra are restricted free agents. That includes Scrap. This is like the big stuff, really. So Cloud9 will try and do everything they can to get Scrap from Ultra. So they're trying to replace SIB with Scrap, which would be an upgrade. There's not many players that can be an upgrade on SIB, but Scrap is one of those players. Obviously, that would mean that you would have Scrap and Hydra on Cloud9 along with Kismet and Skies. But Ultra did do a similar thing last season. Regarding they were trying to sell Insight and Kleenex. Hixie was let go as a free agent, and they were going to build a team around Scrap with players that weren't as good. And obviously, Scrap was disappointed about that. Insight and Kleenex didn't really want that to happen, and then they ended up keeping all three of them and getting Envoy, who was a free agent after he left Los Angeles Thieves. But they've done this again, Ultra, so we don't know what's going to happen, but there is a chance that Scrap isn't at Toronto Ultra next season. He's kind of already said that it's unlikely he's going to be playing there next season now. At the moment, it is a really weird off-season. And yeah, like the whole like Toronto Cloud9 SIB Scrap, what is going to happen? And then we've got LA Thieves in the mix because Envoy has held talks with both LA Thieves and Cloud9. Now, would Envoy be holding talks with Cloud9 if Hydra is going to stay? And would it be Envoy for Kismet, which, they were arguably the two worst players in the top 4 teams last season across the year. But I think Envoy played alright at Champs and EWC. Now, obviously, LA Thieves would want him. Would that mean that Joe Thieves would be out or Kremp? We would have to see, but obviously, now that the buy-in clauses have all been refunded to these teams, it makes this season's ROSTERMANIA slightly more interesting because that money is available now. Which obviously they didn't have before, but they do now. Now I'm just gonna get to the bit that I forgot about. It should be here. Obviously, players like Attach as a free agent, Hukes a free agent, Brezzy is. Illy's a free agent, but obviously we don't know what's going to happen with Illy. I just want to see if... Oh, Mac's back as well. That's class. Mac is back. I wasn't sure... Oh, not a fellow is a restricted free agent, which I was a bit surprised about. Yeah, this was what I was looking for. This is what I forgot about at the start of the episode. I knew there was something I'd forgot about. So, Rencor has joined Miami Heretics, but we don't know who he's replacing or what's happening yet. Obviously, Heretics have always had an extra player, so I think Eric Boom has left. And Rencor is in. I don't know what's happening with Vickel's status yet. Super, though, isn't in a team at the moment. Obviously, he's also been someone that's quite heavily linked in the past with potentially being on that Miami team because he's a good challengers player. This is probably, I think the SIB news has kind of brought out the big parts of this ROSTERMANIA. Obviously, so did like the Insight news right away. This is the main part of the video, I think, though. Breaking point post, ROSTERMANIA update. Hydra, Envoy, Scrap, and Ghosty are exploring a potential super team on 100 Thieves. So what they know is Hydra and Scrap would like to team up. Two of the 4 best players last year makes sense. The budget for 100 Thieves super team would be challenging and would require multiple buyouts. Other deals can still happen. So obviously, like I said, the buy-in clause has gone. So Thieves have the money if they want to spend it, I assume, because they got all their buy-in money back. They had to go for a budget roster last year. They had to let Draza, Kenny, Envoy, and go for free. And obviously Octane retired, but stayed as a 100 Thieves content creator. Obviously Envoy would come back if in this team, but obviously they would have to pay for him. Ghosty's already there. Scrap and Hydra though would cost a lot of money. So Benji Nassim, who's obviously executive producer on the flank, he's been talking and he's heard that the buyouts, just the buyouts itself, would cost around $750,000, which in esports terms is obviously a lot of money. If you're not aware, with Counter-Strike, the Falcons are going to be activating the highest release clause in esports history for Nico from G2, and that is around $1.1 million, I believe. So he was saying that including salaries, the players would have to take salary cuts and everything like this. But even if that happened, with everything else involved, it could still cost altogether around $2 million for this super team. And because of that, I just cannot see it happening. I just cannot see this team being formed. And as well, what would happen to Joe Deceives? Because I can understand Kremp and Nastie losing their spots, but getting on teams, which we'll talk about shortly. But you cannot have Joe Deceives not being without a team. He has to be on a solid team next year regardless, because he had a really good end to the year at Champs and at EWC. And really, just as soon as he came back into the league after being put on the bench for Major 2. So what I personally don't think this team will be formed. I think there is a chance that Envoy will be on the team with Ghosty, and it'll be Joe Deceived and another AR. Could it be like an Abuser? Well, Abuser is not classed as a free agent anymore, and it looks like that everyone had that wrong. He would have a buyout clause now, so that's unlikely as well. Arguably, Optic aren't changing and FaZe aren't changing. Hitch though from Optic, who has a podcast around the bar, did say that he was talking to Celium at COD Next, and he thought he was going to get dropped by FaZe after Champs, but the EWC, obviously Celium was outrageous, and now they're going to stick. So FaZe and Optic are sticking. Ultra are imploding in terms of they're all restricted free agents, but we don't know what'll happen. There could easily be a chance that like Insight and Kleenex are on Ultra next year. I don't know about Scrap. I'd say if I was to like do percentage guesses, it's like 35% that he's going to be on Ultra, 30% that he's going to be on Cloud9, and 25% that this team happens. That's not even right maths, is it? No, 40% that he's going to be on Ultra, 30% he's going to be on Cloud9, and 30% this. I just don't know. I can't count today for some reason. Hydra, I think will be on Cloud9 next season. I'd say like 80-20. There is definitely a chance that Scrap, Envoy go to LA Thieves with Ghosty, but they can't pick up Hydra, and then that's the issue. Like, who can they get as that impact sub? Because obviously Envoy doesn't get anywhere near the amount of kills and doesn't have the movement that Hydra has. Hydra is the best, has arguably been the best player in the last couple of years. You know, him and Simp, and obviously Shotzi was amazing last year for Optic. But who would they pick up in this case? Would they just keep Joe Deceives, or because Scrap would want to be Scrap wants to win a ring. You know, he's a player that's good enough to win a ring. He'll want to have a team that is capable of winning a ring. This is definitely though where ROSTERMANIA has got interesting, because it has been a very, very, very quiet ROSTERMANIA so far. So I am definitely interested to see what happens here with the Superteam. Let me know in the comments down below if you think this team will be formed. Obviously, Ghosty will be there 100% unless someone pays the buyout clause. But I assume that Envoy's buyout won't be anywhere near the same as these two. I do believe Scrap only has 1 year left on his contract though. So would Toronto Ultra risk doing a Seattle Surge? Obviously, if you're not aware of the Seattle Surge situation, the rumour was that Optic offered Seattle Surge $400,000 for Pred during the Modern Warfare 2 season. So it would have been Ghosty, Pred, Shotzi and Dashi rather than Hugh. But Seattle turned it down and then let him go for free at the end of the season. And $400,000 in esports is a lot of money for an organization, let me tell you. It would probably, well, it would at least fund another year for the team. Anyway, let's talk about obviously LA Thieves, because if this happens and they do leave LA Thieves, Kremp and Nastie, a move to Vancouver with a boozer and all four is most likely. Now, I'm going to be honest. I think this is very disappointing for Seattle Surge because I think Hugh is a better. No, I don't think. I know that Hugh is a better player than Kremp. And Nastie is a decent player, but I thought there might be a better option. But Nastie is fair enough, but Hugh is better than Kremp. So I don't really like this move, to be honest. Yeah, I think Nasty is better than Brezzy, but it's not by like a huge amount, and I think Hugh's better than Kremp. So I would say if it was Hugh and Nasty, it would be a bit better. But I thought that it'd be the main four teams and 100 Thieves as well, plus Seattle next year potentially, depending on who they brought in. I think keeping a boozer in all four was the right idea from Seattle, Vancouver, sorry. But a Tatch is a free agent, and I would be going for a Tatch over a Booze, over Nasty, sorry. Um, but yeah, that's just my thoughts. Obviously, there's a lot of players that don't know what's happening yet, and the game comes out next month. I do think that loads of things will come into play shortly. It's just really slow at the moment, and the reason that it is really slow, um, is I think someone's said it, but on one of these posts, but maybe not. Uh, someone tweeted about it, but I can't remember. It might have been JKL. I'll just check. Um, yeah, this was it. Sorry, it was D-Real. So D-Real has said there's a weird state with ROSTERMANIA this year. Pretty sure most players don't even know what orgs are coming in or coming out. So there was a rumour going around that Fnatic and Gen G were going to take the spots of the Carolina Royal Ravens and LA Gorillas. We don't know anything about it yet, but that's 8 spots ultimately. So no one knows what's happening. Falcons are in for Legion, which we knew about. So a lot of players are just going to be free agents, and no one knows what is actually going to happen. It has been an underwhelming off season regarding the majority of the stuff, except the stuff with SIB, Cloud9, and the LA Thieves potential super team. And the last bit of rostermania is that Boston will likely be sticking with the EWC roster. So obviously Boston are going to stay around in the CDL. Sorry, if Boston want to, join the JTL, they're more than welcome to. Yeah, in that same article about Fnatic and Gen G joining the CDL, it did say that Boston are going to stick it around again for another year. So it would be Snoopy, Cammy, Awakening, and Purge. It's not the best roster, but they looked a little bit better at EWC than the rest of the teams they've had. And players like Cammy and Awakening, have been in the CDL for a long time, so I don't think it's too bad of a roster, to be honest. It's not like it's a disappointment or anything. But yeah, obviously Boston have taken a lot of cost cuts. The Boston Breach almost shut down. Oxygen Esports, who is like the main brand for Boston, they are sticking with their Rainbow Six team, I think, but then they've pulled out of other esports. Will we be having a Boston major? I hope so, but I'm unsure. Obviously we don't know what's happening yet with like the majors and stuff like that. Hopefully that'll all be out next month. But again, I think everyone's just waiting for like what's happening with these rosters. With these organisations, sorry, because no one actually knows. So that's it for the ROSTERMANIA stuff. The last thing I also want to bring up is this. So, basically, Scump was eating a steak and he started to choke on it, and Nadeshot literally saved his life. So, um, and Scump was saying that it was like a chewy steak, and it wasn't a very nice. It wasn't like that nice. It was chewy and stuff like that. And I wanted to bring this up. At least he's okay and alive and stuff. So he was doing a 24-hour stream, which I watched a little bit of. And if he got to 5,000 subs, he would go bald, and he did hit the 5,000 sub mark. And there he is, he's bald Scump with a shaved mustache as well. And he was they shaved his head on stream for him as well during the 24-hour stream, which was always fun to see. So that is going to be the end of this ROSTERMANIA roundup. Yeah, it's been quiet. Will 100 Thieves build this super team? What is next for SIB? What's next for Insight and Kleenex? Because obviously there's been no rumours about Insight and Kleenex either. I think this is going to be one of the worst ROSTERMANIAs in CDL history. It probably will be the worst, actually, because the COD World Champs, the CDL World Champs are not changing. The Esports World Cup winners are not changing. It all comes down to Cloud9, Toronto Ultra, and LA Thieves. And we're going to have other teams in, obviously. Basically, the Vegas boys are all having to try and find a new spot. What's going to happen with Fnatic and Gen G? Are they going to be joining the league? Are LA Gorillas finally leaving? It's been slow and stale, but I think by the time we do the next episode, it should be episode 20. I'm hoping there's a lot more to talk about. But I've been your host as always. Do like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I will see you next time, which again will be a couple of weeks from now. Alright, thank you for watching, and see ya.